Signal that here we go. All right, here we go. Very excited. Sports Injury Central Pro Football Doc podcast. I know we don't bring in guests during the regular football season because there's too many injury and health things to discuss, but this requires a guest. And this has always been, I've been a huge fan over time, growing up and whatever, the great Jim Lampley. So, Jim, on Monday on the Pro Football Doc podcast, I was asked and I talked about the health advantages of a 27-year-old versus a 58-year-old, et cetera. But nobody knows more about boxing than you do. And nobody knows more about Mike Tyson than you do. You broadcast his entire career, including when he was a teenager, first time on TV. So you know boxing and you know Mike Tyson. So appreciate a few minutes here ahead of the big event tomorrow to talk about some of the health and implications. And I understand, Jim, that you are a purist, and this is why we want you on. I understand to you this is not a true boxing match. It's more a circus in nature. But still, there's a lot of expertise that you can apply about Mike Tyson. No one knows him better than you in boxing. As we let some people join and so forth, my first question to you is, clearly this is not a boxing match, but educate us on what it means and the differences between first a 2-minute round versus a 3-minute round. And then we'll talk about the weight of the gloves, et cetera. But let's start with the rounds first. How does that change everything, and what does that do in this particular circumstances, and why?
Well, I have to assume that an agreement was made for 2-minute rounds to help Mike preserve his stamina and be functional over the course of the entire round. 3 minutes to the layman doesn't sound like much. 3 minutes when you're in the ring, wearing gloves, facing a guy who's trying to hunt you down and hit you can seem very long. And stamina is a big factor in conventional boxing. It's likely to be an even bigger factor here, particularly for a 58-year-old man who is coming off of a recent bout with ulcers that put him in the hospital and is fighting someone who's much younger, albeit with a much shallower background in the sport, but still obviously closer to something like his physical peak than we can expect Mike to be. So 2-minute rounds are a logical concession to what Mike probably needs to be competitive in this arena.
So you mentioned the health issue with Mike Tyson. We looked at that with the ulcers, and he likely maybe had a bleed, which is why when the medical problem came up, we said if he's got to get his blood built back up, this would be months of delay, and that's what this was, months of delay. So that's an interesting point. The other point, you're right about stamina, but I would make this point just as an observation. I don't know Jake Paul very well. My son does. Okay, he follows all this stuff. He's 12. But Jake Paul's put on a lot of weight, so the 2-minute round might be better for him too, right? He's put on a lot of weight for this fight, it seems like.
Well, 2-minute round is better for either of them to maintain stamina over the course of the fight. It's just, I don't care whether you're 17 or 87. If you're going to go into a prize fight ring with gloves on and try to function face to face, and just the confrontation itself is in a lot of ways challenging and exhausting. If you're going to do all of that, then obviously you've got a better chance of keeping your energy level up and functioning in 2-minute rounds rather than 3-minute rounds. So whether it was a concession to Mike or it's a concession to Jake Paul, it helps both of them.
No question. And for the casual fan, I'd say 2-minute rounds are already very long. Let's take some examples here. In NFL, which I know best, the average play is 4 seconds long. And if you have a 10-play drive of 4 seconds of maximal effort with some rest in between, the defense is gassed. If you have a 15-second play, the defense is gassed. So a 2-minute round is still a big deal. If you look at the standard hockey shift, it's about 30 seconds of skating. So 2 minutes is still a long time. 3 minutes is an eternity. And, to the casual fan, it may not seem that way, but look at other sports, right? I mean, this is a big deal. But let me ask you this follow-up question, Jim. What percentage of fights are the knockout punches or the damaging blows or the advantages unearthed in the final minute of a 3-minute round versus the first 2 minutes?
Oh, I think that's customarily the case. But of course, there's still going to be a final minute in the round. It's the second round, second minute, not the third. So there's still a greater chance for a knockout in that last minute of the round rather than in the beginning minute of the round. But we don't know for sure what this is going to look like or what's going to happen. One guy has a conventional boxing background, and that was 30, 40 years ago. The other guy has, a different style of background, but according to what I'm told, has done a great deal of boxing training and had a good deal of boxing instruction within the last few years. So they're prepared for what they do. Where does punching power come into play? I think most likely this is either a one-punch fight either way, meaning either Jake or Mike is going to land one big shot, which find the outcome, or go the distance and somebody's going to get a points decision. Most likely, it's a one-punch fight either way.
Gotcha. So let's talk about, since we're talking punches, tell me and educate us about the differences and how big of a difference 14-ounce gloves versus 10-ounce gloves are.
Well, 14-ounce gloves are safer. 10-ounce gloves create less of a padding to cushion the blow, and so if I'm concerned about whether I'm going to be knocked out in the fight, I'm asking for 14-ounce gloves instead of 10-ounce gloves. But this is a hybrid competition. This is not traditional boxing with traditional boxing rules. These rules are made up and created for these two guys at this moment in time. So in essence, it's a one-off enterprise. I don't expect to be seeing, a series of fights now taking place between YouTube personalities and aging boxers 30 years past the end of their careers. I don't really expect seeing that happening. This is a one-off. And so we're talking only about the unique circumstances of this particular moment in time and these two guys.
No question with these two guys. I think you're right. But Jake Paul has done, Anderson Silva and this guy, and he's an unbelievable marketer, but that's a different story. So back to the 10 and 14-ounce gloves. If we're at a bar and there's those boxing machines where you hit and you ring up force or power, if you hit with a 10-ounce glove and you register a score of 100, hypothetically, what would you register with a 14-ounce glove?
I don't know the answer to that question. I can speculate that it might be a 70, it might be an 80 or something like that. It would probably be a lesser number than the 100 that you got with the 10-ounce gloves.
That's informative enough. I didn't expect you to have but that's significant. You're basically decreasing your punching power by 20 to 30% with 14-ounce gloves versus 10
ounce. If I'm right in my speculation, yes.
Sure.
I could.
But it's not 1%. It's not 1%.
Right.
It's not 50%. It's not 1%. Yeah.
It's something.
Okay. It's something. All right. So the key crux of this, no one knows Tyson better than you. What do you think is going to happen? What are his chances? What kind of shape is he in? Mike's motivation, is the killer instinct that's always been in Mike Tyson alive here, or is this showmanship? How real is it? Well, give me your thoughts and takes on how
Well,
you know Mike Tyson in
this
this
is
whole
the
thing.
reason why people will pay to buy in and see, because we don't know the answers to those questions. And I'm flattered and appreciative that you say nobody knows Mike better than me, but I haven't seen Mike or spent time personally with him in, I don't know, probably 12, 15 years. And the last time I saw him in a boxing ring, he was getting dusted by Lennox Lewis in Memphis, Tennessee on June 6, 2002, or June 8, 2002. So it's been quite a while. And I don't think anyone in his right mind could be, categorical or definitive in speculating about what they're going to see from Mike Saturday night or Friday night. I think we're going to see Mike go into a ring and earn some money, and which is, I hope, good for him and welcome in his life. And we're going to see Jake Paul go in and seek a giant thrill and earn a good deal of money himself. And I hope the people who are, shelling out money to make it happen get something in the way of satisfaction from what goes on. But it's not boxing. It's a one of a kind, unique event involving a YouTube star and a 58, 59-year-old man.
No question. So just to catch you up, and the reason why we said we got to bring Jim Lampley on for all his thoughts, because, I've covered boxing before, but I'm not a boxing expert. And I looked at this situation as, look, I don't care how great. And look, in an NFL world, Mike Tyson is like a Hall of Famer. He's Jerry Rice or whoever you want to say, right? And there's no question that Jake Paul is not that level, but he's still 27. And I would ask, look, in a football contest, I'm not aware of any sport, whether it's football or full court basketball. Let's take Michael Jordan at the age of 62 versus a college level player at the age of 25 or something. I'm old. What I could do at 58 versus 27 was massive in terms of stamina, energy, and otherwise. And I don't see an example in any physically based contact sport, stamina and otherwise, that I could see a 58-year-old, no matter how great he was, Michael Jordan, Jerry Rice, you name it, stick with someone who's 27 over the course of a match or game. Certainly in a one punch in a bar, yeah, I'll take Mike Tyson, right? I mean, certainly in a shorter span, a one-on-one contest, but four-court NBA basketball, the course of an NFL game, medically speaking, I think the effects of age are too great. And the longer the fight goes, the more it goes to Jake Paul. You're right about the first round or second round, a one-punch difference. But that's been my thought, just trying to analyze this from a medical and health perspective. Any thoughts on that? Like it, don't like it? And I'm okay anyway, man. I mean, I respect the great Jim Lampley and your thoughts.
Well, thank you for the great Jim Lampley appellation. I'm not really sure that I heard a question in that dissertation. If you're asking me whom I favor in the fight, I don't know. I haven't watched Jake Paul train in a gym. I haven't seen Mike personally in many years. I haven't watched him train in a gym. I don't have anything like the kind of preparation that I used to develop and immerse myself in to call fights on television. So your guess is as good as mine. And that's why I'm saying to you that my guess is it's a one-punch fight either way. Somebody's going to land something significant within the first 3, 4, 5 rounds that they're in the ring. And that punch is going to define the outcome. Whether it becomes a one-punch knockout or it becomes the beginning of a flurry that puts the other guy in a compromised position. More or less, I see it as a one-punch either-way fight, and I'm not certain in my mind which of the two guys is going to be the one to land that punch. But if I were a betting man, I'd be more likely to bet on the guy who's 27 or 28.
Gotcha.
I'm older than you. I'm 75. I can feel these limitations very graphically. I admire Mike for taking this chance and entertaining people with it. Only his mystique is big enough to make people interested in this event. But it's been a long time since Lennox Lewis functionally ended his career with the beatdown in Memphis.
All right. So, Jim, thanks a lot for your time. Final question. Are you going to be watching live on Friday?
Yeah, Mike's a friend of mine. I want to support, so I'll be watching live. I've never met Jake Paul. Don't expect I ever will. But I think of myself as a lifetime friend of Mike Tyson. I hope he knows that, and I will be watching.
All right, Jim, thank you for your time and insight. Really appreciate your taking this time with us here. That's it for the special edition of the Pro Football Doc. Go ahead.
So now the thing you do most is NFL. Is that right?
Yes, NFL. I was a former NFL
so who's your
musician
front runner at this moment for NFL Rookie of the Year? And I'll preface this by making clear I'm sitting at my home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Who do you think is the NFL Rookie of the Year leader in the clubhouse right now?
100% Jaden Daniels.
100% Jaden Daniels. I think that makes sense. I can't argue the point, but I think that Drake May is number 2, and I think that Drake may have a possibility of overtaking him as the. But yes, Daniels has been extraordinarily impressive.
And I think you're right. Drake May would be my number 2, but there's a lot of season left. If Jaden Daniels does this and Drake May does this, there's a lot of recency.
Right, and one or the other could get hurt.
Yeah,
this
there's a lot of recency
NFL,
bias
this is
too, right?
An injury league, so this could be defined by one of the two getting hurt. I do think among all the plays that have taken place in the league so far, the most unusual and memorable play was Drake May's last-second touchdown pass that tied the Titans, right?
I would agree with you because it was like a 20-second play and it was unbelievable. But in this 15 seconds of glory or whatever thing, the average NFL fan would actually say it was Jaden Daniels' Hail Mary pass that was misplayed by the Chicago Bears player that won them that game because A, it was more spectacular, B, it immediately ended and won the game. Drake May's was arguably more difficult rather than just throwing the ball and getting lucky. However, it tied the game and the Patriots lost in overtime. So then things get forgotten a little bit in terms of both.
Yeah, even I forget that. All right. Thanks very much. Say hello to Dado, and I'll talk to you later on.
Thank you, Jim. And that'll wrap up our Sports Center Central Pro Football Doc special boxing / circus related Mike Tyson, Jake Paul podcast. Thank you, guys.